On this week's episode of the High Not to Laugh podcast, I'm going to talk about 10 Christmas specials that Gen X grew up watching every year. And my son...
I'm high on edible.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to High Not to Laugh podcast. We do 4 different kinds, and this week is our Gen X explains Gen X stuff to Gen Z.
Yes.
Next week's episode will be actually not one of our main topics, but we'll get into that next week.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, and I'm Craig, and to my right, as always, is the Krampus to my Santa Claus.
I'm Jason.
Krampus, not Cramps. Those are different.
No, the Russian Santa demon that beats the bad children with the metal rod.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to just talk about these and just tell me the ones you've seen. I think you've seen not all of these, but probably most of these.
Okay.
And, if you haven't seen it, when I give you the description, tell me, does it sound like something you would be interested in? Whatever. Whatever you have to say. Say. All right. The first one, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It is an hour-long special.
That I'll never get back in my life.
Wow. Ouch. It's an hour based on a song that is like 2 minutes tops.
Oh, yeah.
And that's if they sing the thing
Chorus
twice.
Too, and yeah, like
it's not a long song.
No, it's not.
It definitely took a lot to stretch it out that way.
Yeah.
I would have to say we grew up not even thinking about how mean Santa was and everyone was.
Yeah.
Like we really didn't.
Right.
It took till your generation got all like, I got offended by this, that, and the other before people started whining about it.
On the other hand, I'm not like that with most things. And Santa was
a jerk.
He was mean in this
for
no reason.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you're different. Screw you.
Yeah, you're different. Get out of here.
Ugh.
And then he learns a valuable lesson. If your freak birth defect can positively affect my day, I can then be nice to you.
Right, and then leave him to the side again in every major film. All right? He's never flying with Rudolph.
It's just only if it's on a bad night.
Yeah, so, why go out of your way to make it that and then never show it?
Yeah.
Also, It Chapter 2 did it better with the bullying work storyline.
Anyway. Then the second one is Frosty the Snowman.
Love it.
The story of a pile of snow that comes to life because of a magic hat. This snow golem immediately takes these children down into traffic, almost killing them, gets chased by police, and as he's dying, threatens to be back.
Yes.
It's basically a kid's horror movie without the horror.
Yeah, or without saying those words out loud. Just doing those things.
But everything that happens in it could be a horror.
All you have to do is twist it. It's called Jack Frost.
Small bit, just a little tweak, and it's a horror movie.
Yep. And he returns, doesn't he?
He does. Actually, he had a New Year with Rudolph. He had Frosty Returns, which he was done years and years later. Different voice actors.
Did he do like a crossover with Santa Claus or something?
I think
was that in Frosty Returns?
I don't remember. I don't recall that one as much because it was like I was getting older when that was made.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one is Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yes.
Now, this is a classic.
It is.
It was I looked it up. It's a 64-page book, but it's a 64-page book with like half
4
a
lines
paragraph
or whatever on
each
it, and then a bunch of pictures.
Yeah. So
it's a Dr. Seuss book.
Exactly. And to stretch that into a half hour was amazing. But I love the point that a lot of people make where it's like, well, would the Grinch be such a jerk if there wasn't some guy every time you saw him singing about what a jerk he was?
Yeah.
It's like, you're a scumbag. I hope you die. And he's like, all right, I'm out of this. Like, I'm going to go take my revenge. Like,
I'm going to deal with
whose fault
business.
I think that was the singer's fault.
It's like, maybe if you pipe down a little.
It's like, stop calling him a dink.
He's just living alone, abusing his dog.
Of course, if the thing you hate the most is Christmas, why would you live next to a town that is their whole personality is Christmas?
I don't know that he had much of a choice, as it's all on a speck of dust.
Well, it was on a snowflake, but it was a speck of dust when Horton heard a who. And for a town that everything's about Christmas, when Horton heard him, there was no Christmas involved.
Well, yeah, but it's a whole world. Whoville's the whole planet.
No, Whoville's the town.
And they're all from Whoville?
Yeah.
Then why weren't they all Christmassy? It was like snowy all year round for them.
But not in Horton Hears a Who.
Oh, it's because the snowflake melted and the dust was still there.
I don't know. Anyway, the next one that we looked forward to every year, and when I say look forward to, I mean like we would hear there was like a special, like
a special presentation.
Yeah, there was like an announcement, and there was like music, and the word "special" would spin around on your TV,
and that meant you had less than 40 seconds to get into the living room.
You couldn't stream it. Most people didn't have them on VHS. There wasn't DVD.
You certainly couldn't go watch it on YouTube.
Right. Like, if you wanted to catch Frosty or Rudolph or any of these, you watched it.
You got to the living room and you got there
it's on
quick.
at 7 p.m. on Wednesday? I guess that's when I better be sitting down in front of the television.
Right.
Some people would maybe record it onto a VHS.
Right. And then you've only got 6 minutes to get up and get snacks or less for the ads.
Basically. But the next one is The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Never seen it.
You've never. So this is the first one you haven't seen.
It is.
Okay, here's a little description. Feeling forgotten by the children of the world, St. Nick skips his gift-giving journey and takes a vacation. Mrs. Claus and two spunky little elves, Jingle and Jangle, set out to see where all the season's cheer has disappeared. Here's a hint. There's a guy named Heat Miser who doesn't like snow. Aided by a magical snowfall, they reawaken the spirit of Christmas in children's hearts and put Santa Claus back in action.
So, all right, the storyline is...
I know you've heard the song.
Santa Claus is depressed and doesn't want to be Santa.
And he's like, I'm just going to go on vacation. Nobody cares.
He takes a vacation, and then later in the movie we find out that it's actually because of the fire guy?
Well, he's...
So he made Santa depressed?
He's
or
part of the problem.
Unrelated to each other?
He was making kids not think about Christmas by melting the snow. And when you're walking around in warm weather, you're not thinking Christmas.
Sure, but if I see the
What about
fire
sherbet?
guy... Well, sherbet, no.
Sherbet.
No, if I see some fire guy running around town lighting all the snow on fire, I'm going to have a problem.
He didn't light the snow. Anyway.
All right? And yeah, I know he's Mr. Heat Miser. All right?
I know you like the song.
I do. It's
And you like that version by, there was like that.
Not Zoot
swing
Suit Riot.
kinda
Yeah,
band.
but they were a swing band.
Can't remember.
It was really good. Something...
Put it in the comments. I can't. Big Voodoo Daddy.
Big Voodoo Daddy?
Was it them?
Yeah.
It was one of those bands. There was a few that came out at that time.
Such a good version of that song.
Yes, very much. The next one is A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yes.
A Charlie Brown Christmas was the one that was quoting the Bible.
Like doing the Christmas thing.
They legitimately told the nativity story. They came out and like read quotes from the Bible. So if you're someone who's looking for biblical specials, the whole special isn't, but it's based on a group of kids who actually
want to celebrate
believe
Jesus'
in
birth.
the birth of Christ.
Right.
Which isn't what most of the specials are about.
They're like, look at this. They're dressed in red and they fly around the world. Isn't
And
that special?
basically, it's another one with bullying because he decides that the sad-looking tree needs to be saved instead of being chipped and thrown away. And everyone makes fun of him. Like, why would you do that? That's an ugly tree. The The next one, speaking of religious based, but this one doesn't quote scripture, The Little Drummer Boy. The story, well, I mean, if you know the song, it's the story of a boy who doesn't have any money, but he wants to do something
For the baby
for
king.
the baby that was just born. He's like, I don't know why, but I want to give a gift to this kid, but the only thing I can do is play the drum.
So he does.
Which, as
It's
a new
so
mom,
sweet.
I guarantee if your wife
Yeah.
is trying to get the baby to sleep and I'm like, I have an idea, and I come in with drums,
Well,
I will walk out of that room with
drums
the drums
inside of you.
of my person.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It certainly wouldn't help the baby sleep.
no.
You know? No.
But of course, I mean, I love that one. I do. I love the story. I had known the story of this one before I'd ever watched the special. I first finally watched the special last year for Christmas with you guys. And I mean, I liked it. But the story is just so sweet
Yeah.
and like innocent and
The
awesome.
song is sweet.
It is. I love it.
All right. The next one, see, now you'll notice I didn't call this episode Gen X specials because some of them were from before Gen X, actually, but they aired every year for Gen X.
And they still air most of them.
A lot of them. But this one was made for Gen X. It was 1982.
All right.
Disney came out with Mickey's Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge told with Disney characters.
Yeah,
and Scrooge McDuck played Scrooge.
That
which
makes sense. That
he was
he's
inspired by
Scrooge.
Right.
Yeah. This I had never heard of until you mentioned it in passing earlier before I knew it was even going to be part of the show.
Well, now you want to see it, don't you?
I mean, I liked the Christmas Carol movie.
It's
I mean,
better
I liked
than
a
the
couple of
one.
them.
What was it? Mr. Magoo did a Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
And it was
I couldn't even
bad.
make it 10 minutes into
Yeah,
that. It
it
was
bad.
terrible.
Like sometimes just changing it to be certain characters doesn't make it funny.
No. I liked Scrooged.
That makes sense. All right, the next one is A Muppet Family Christmas. Now,
Definitely haven't seen that
A
either.
Muppet Family Christmas. Here's the story. Fozzie Bear surprises his mother Emily on Christmas Eve by bringing the entire Muppet gang to her farm to celebrate the holidays. Doc and his dog Sprocket, as in from Fraggle Rock, who had planned a quiet Christmas, end up joining the Muppets in their activities and preparations. The Sesame Street regulars, Big Bird, Bert, Ernie, and others like even Elmo also joined the festivities. To Kermit's dismay, the only one missing is Miss Piggy, who was caught in a snowstorm. They brought the Muppet family to town. Now you want
That's the coolest sounding thing ever.
the Muppets also put out one called like Emmett Otter's Christmas Jug Band or something.
Sure.
It's fine, but this was like, let's get all the Muppets together. Sesame Street, the Muppets, and even some Fraggle stuff.
That's so cool. I love Fraggle Rock. Oh my goodness. Did it say who did that one?
What do you mean?
Was that the Disney one you were talking about?
No,
no.
that was Muppets. It'd be weird if
I gotta find where that
Disney
is.
owned the Muppet-
I gotta
anyway.
watch that.
The next one is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a postman who's voiced by Fred Astaire, and he explains why Santa has whiskers, lives at the North Pole, and brings presents only once a year. The character he's playing, the postman, you would recognize from the Mr. Hanky Christmas special, the guy that's singing at the beginning that looks like
Really?
a postman.
That's awesome.
It was literally a reference to this.
It just gets better and better.
Yes. So now you want to see that too, right?
I've seen that.
You've seen the one, really?
Which one did you say?
The Santa Claus is Coming to Town,
Yeah, I've seen that.
with the postman explaining why Santa has a
Yeah.
beard and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought it was weird, but I
And
liked it.
the final one, it's not technically a special, but they made it one, and I'll explain. A Christmas Story.
Oh, okay,
A
yeah.
Christmas Story is a movie, but TBS in the 90s started playing it from Christmas Eve 24 hours straight through Christmas. You couldn't avoid it if you had the TV on, it seemed like at some points. So
it's a
they
good movie.
turned a movie into a special. And it's funny how much of it is not Christmas related. I was just
The
talking
majority
about
of
this.
it, yeah.
Like one of the it's basically a bunch of stories from Gene Shepard's life combined together as one movie. The only one that was Christmas was the Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah.
Because getting the bunny suit, that was a story
Obviously
about
Easter. The turkey dinner
The turkey
was
dinner,
obviously
the dog date was
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Exactly. There was another winter one where the kid got his tongue stuck on or whatever.
Yeah, that's
there was
winter,
standing up
but-
to the bully. There was the leg lamp. There was the saying, "Oh fudge."
Yeah, definitely fudge.
All of those were separate stories that had nothing to do with Christmas, but somehow it works together, even though none of the stories really.
Like, it feels like it should be very disjointed.
And they made it a lot smoother than it should be, considering what they put together.
Right.
None of the sequels kind of hold up. They had a summer story,
Which-
didn't do good.
No.
They did a Christmas story too, didn't do good. Some people say they really liked A Christmas Story Christmas, which came out recently and has
liked
them.
that.
It was okay. It was the best thing to come out
Since.
since the first one,
But it's not
still
gonna
not as
touch
good.
the first
The
one.
first one, there's when you grow up seeing it over and over again, like it ingrains itself, and
Yeah.
the sequel just couldn't live up to that.
Can't.
Can't. It was and not at the fault of it, but
Couple
all
of
right.
honorable mentions.
Okay.
All right. So the not Christmas. Hold up. The Star Wars holiday movie special.
That wasn't aired every year. That was garbage
Okay.
and got
It was
canned.
garbage, and it is terrible.
Right.
But it is a Christmas special.
And even Star Wars fans know that thing sucked.
And
And it was the holiday special.
the
because it was
only one
Life
that
Day.
I could think of, all right, because I wanted to mention, I haven't had any of these new things come out. There's no Christmas special for my generation except for what's come before.
basically.
And we finally got kind of one, like last year or the year before, with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
That's true.
It's fun. It's got
It's way better than
Kevin
what Star
Bacon.
Wars did.
Yes. Originally, it was supposed to just be a parody of that with Groot.
Well, thankfully they did not.
No, definitely not. But that's the closest that my generation has to a Christmas special.
All right. So you've seen Rudolph, Frosty, The Grinch. Year Without Santa, you haven't, but
Haven't
you want
seen.
to now.
Yes.
Charlie Brown, you've seen. Little Drummer Boy, you've seen. You want to see Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yes.
You want to see Muppet Family Christmas.
Absolutely. More than the others.
You said you've seen Santa Claus is Coming to Town,
I
and
have.
I know you've seen Christmas Story. So there's a couple you've seen that you don't care for, but the ones you haven't seen, it sounds like you're interested.
I am interested.
All right. So as always, you'll smoke your eyes out, kid.